Great to have you with us. Now, it has emerged that several other firms submitted significantly less bids to execute the controversial SSNIT software contract, but management decided to select a supplier whose overall estimate eventually amounted to $72 million. One bid cited by Joy News was just 17 million cedis, or $3.8 million. The contract's document intercepted by Joy News also pegged the contract sum as $34 million and not $72 million, as put out by the current management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. Joy News' Evans Mensah and Collins Ajimang Sarpong, president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply, joined us in the studio with more on this issue. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dana.
Right, so Evans, we got these documents yesterday. What details have we gotten about the contracts since we got them?
So suffice it to say that so far we've learned this. The more you read the documents, and if you see it in front of me, there are a number of them, 3 huge documents covering this. There is the original contract that was signed in 2012. There is the 2016 April 29th project closure report, and then there's obviously the tender evaluation documents covering this. What we know for certain is that the amount involved had evolved over a period from 2012 when it was first signed to what it is currently, which we now know is $72 million. It started off at 27 million. And then by the time they signed it, when you added the VAT and HRL, the 14% contingency that they also added to it, it had ballooned to 34 million. And 3 days ago, we heard from SSNIT that it was 66 million. Yet last night, when I checked with the technical officers who were directly involved in implementing the project, they had confirmed that they had spent in excess of $72 million. Now, let me explain how we came to this. And it's important, just before we start, to sort of lay the background. What is the background to all this? This is a fundamental question that have been asked. Was this even necessary?
Was the software even necessary?
Now, that's another thing. It's not a software. Okay, it is an entire automation project. It's a very complex automation project with many aspects, and just to deal with that bit just before we go on. And these are the things it entailed. It entailed pension administration solution. It entailed mobile registration workstations, desktop registration workstations, biometric solutions, smart cards, card printers, card consumables, information kiosk, call center software and hardware, card printing management software, portal solutions, business intelligence, document imaging, workflow, even training and implementation services. So it's a very complex project. So it's not just a software. The software is just one component part of this whole project. So just to clear that. But what does SSNIT intend to do? This simply, we wanted to apply part of the budget allocation to fund the supply installation commission of a Social Security pension administration system. Okay. A complete solution on a turnkey basis, and turnkey basis simply means the company, whoever wins this, will come in, will do the setup. When it's done, when it's complete, hands over, gets its money and goes away. That's what it's supposed to be. And towards the automation of SSNIT business processes. Now, the intentions, what they wanted to solve, they wanted to provide superior services to customers. They wanted to implement an integrated operational suite. They wanted to reduce member enrollment cycle. They wanted to minimize multiple member registration. They wanted to reduce fraud in the management of SSNIT pensions. But most importantly for pensioners, because people shouldn't forget, all this controversy is about pensioners, pensioners' money in there. They wanted to reduce the time a pensioner will take for SSNIT to process his pensions. Okay, so you hear people say they go to pensions once they're due to retire, and it takes too long to process. They wanted to fix it. That's why they got us in. So when they opened the tenders, and this I must say, it was both. The tender was both open locally and internationally. They published the tenders in the local newspapers, and they even published it in the Economist magazine. Okay, internationally, and that would have cost a lot to do, and then over several days. I've seen the publications, the Economist magazine publication. At the end of the tender, 10 companies bid for it, 10 companies. Out of the 10 companies that submitted bids, one was the least expensive. Pesol was the least expensive. They had submitted a bid of 17.4 million cedis. They were the only company in the list that quoted their charges in CD terms. The 17.4 million, comes down to around $3.8 million.
Wow.
Okay. They were the least expensive. The second least expensive was Sambos Company Limited. They had submitted a bid of $9.8 million. Now, the company that won the bid was Perfect Business Systems and their partner in Malaysia called Silver Lake Consortium. Their bid was 27 million. So that's where the 27, because they won, that's where the 27 started, 27 million. But these bids were evaluated on a certain criteria. In fact, the criteria numbered 21. So in other words, to qualify or to win this, and if you read the tender evaluation, guidelines, you needed to satisfy all of it, okay. To win. When they did the evaluation, it turns out that, and I will just isolate the firms that submitted the lowest and the highest, and the one that won. Okay, so that it just simplifies it. Pesol, remember I had said, submitted the lowest bid with 3.80 million CDs. Pesol ticked all the boxes when it came to the criteria for the supplying the IT infrastructure, with the exception of power of attorney. Okay, the power of attorney was important because SSNIT wanted everybody who bid it to have, if you're a foreign company, you must have a local partner. Okay. If you're a local partner, you must have a foreign partner. And if you're a local partner, when you bid, and Pesol understand it's a local company, if your foreign partner must give you the power of attorney, etc.
Okay.
The point was, the document they submitted, the power of attorney they submitted was not signed. Okay, so that's why when it came to power of attorney, they didn't meet that criteria because that document wasn't signed. But they have submitted a bid of 3.8 million. Sambos, which also submitted a bid of $9.8 million, that's the second least expensive of them all, also met all the 21 with the exception of 2. Okay, and theirs had to do, again, with power of attorney. They didn't even submit the power of attorney at all. They had issues with it. And an audited accounts for the past 2 years, effective 2008, was a criteria. Okay. None. They didn't submit that, so they were disqualified. Okay, so that's it. The company that won the bid, which is Perfect Business Systems and Silver Lake Consortium, according to the evaluators of the tender, they had met every single one of the criteria.
Were they the only company that met every single criteria?
There were. 2 companies did. Themselves and B Systems Face Technologies. B Systems Face Technologies, however, had put in a bid of $31 million.
Theirs was higher.
I mean, $4 million higher than Perfect Business Systems.
Evans, so hold on for me here. Since we are talking about procurement and we have a procurement expert here, let me bring you in. Mr. Ajimang Sarpong, what do you make of the process as it is? Is this what should be done normally?
Well, from the face of it, I think they've gone through the process. I mean, it was an international competitive tendering, and Evans alluded to the fact that it was advertised in The Economist and local dailies. It means that they wanted everybody to know. That's one. Again, in the area of evaluation, we have 3 stages. We have the preliminaries, we have the commercial, then we have the technical. Then later, after you have selected, you can do the post-qualification evaluation. Now, with the preliminaries, like Evans is saying that somebody did not sign the power of attorney. Yes, within the preliminary, that's where we see whether your company is registered. Are you SSNIT? Are you paying your tax? So if you are paying your taxes, then you should have Ghana Revenue Authority's clearance certificate. You should also demonstrate that you pay SSNIT for your staff. So you need to have a SSNIT clearance certificate. So we call it mandatory requirement. So at the preliminary stages, we look at that.
Okay.
Then from there, we come to the commercial aspect where we look at your payment terms, your delivery period, and stuff like that. Then the heart of every tendering process is the technical evaluation, where you pitch what you really want against what the vendors are saying that I am providing to you, or the solution that I'm providing.
The technical evaluation aspect is a very interesting aspect of this.
I'm just taking you through what,
But on the face of it, with these 10 companies, we see that one was picked. The one that was picked is the one that ticked all the boxes.
Yes.
But some of them were disqualified on the basis of power of attorney only.
Yes.
Would you say it's enough grounds to remove them from the race?
We have what we call materiality and non-material. But once it is in the, we call it instruction to tenders, the tender document that you will buy, the instructions are in there. So then the procurement people will ask, why is it that I ask you to sign a letter giving the one who is signing that we have given him or her the power to lead us? Why didn't you bring it? I ask you to provide a tax clearance certificate. Why were you not able to? It means that for all you know, you are not even paying taxes. And you know some of the risk inherent. Granted, you give a contract to a vendor or a supplier who is not paying taxes, okay? You've given the contract to the person, 3 years contract. They are delivering. Then 3 months into it, you hear that GRA are going to lock their shops for non-payment of taxes. There, people will come and say, you, the procurement guys, what due diligence did you do? So those are the risks that we try to mitigate. You might see that it is not material, but granted you give a contract to somebody, then their parent company or the next day somebody somewhere take you to court and say that even the person that signed this contract does not have the locus to sign a contract on our behalf. It means that the whole process is being thrown away. So there are vivid instructions to all tenders. So when you take the contract serious, you need to meet that. And do you know the reason why we go deeper? Those are simple things that you need to meet. A contract of $27 million, if you want to win it, and you can't take your time to have power of attorney, you can't negotiate for people to give you the necessary certificate, then it means that your company is not the way you have presented it on paper. Okay. Are you getting the point? So don't look at the materiality of the requirement, but the inherent risk that the whole requirement is trying to mitigate.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ajiman Sarpong, for that. Evans, take us further into this arrangement. So
once the tender processes were done, and we've already explained, I mean, and there was a question about, when we pulled this out, questions were asked about, so if Pestle has submitted 3.8 million, because 3.8 million and 27 million, the gap is jaw-dropping, it's huge.
Evans, let me come in here. And also the law says that lowest evaluated tenderer or tender, it is not the lowest price. And you know that, for all you know, if the people really understand what they were coming to provide, okay, at times people will throw the bid there, and when we go on, I will tell you, some people can throw in a figure there to win on price. Then when they get to the field, there they will tell you, oh, we didn't have this. And at that time, they are becoming single source, so you dance to your tune. So it's not the amount that have been thrown out there. That you shouldn't shake. And 3 million is good price. Let's go for it. You go and you may come back and pay more. So
the question was asked, for example, because if you look at the criteria, Pestle met all the criteria, exception of one, which is the Attorney General document, which at the power of attorney was signed. And people asked, so couldn't SSNIT simply have called them and said, can you get your power of attorney document signed? So I mean, that's a question that's
a question that's
out there. But most importantly, is how the 27 million then becomes 72 million between 2012 and 2017. It's that for me. That's where the real issues are. And
Evans, give me a moment there. Let me welcome you to the conversation. Lawyer Martin Pebu. He's a private legal practitioner. He'll be joining us via phone. Counsel, thanks for your time this morning.
Great. You're welcome.
Great. So we'll be bringing you into the conversation, particularly when we go into the section of the changing figures and what accounted for that. So, Lawyer Pebu, thanks very much.
So let me do that very quickly on that. So this is what happened based on the document, because we've seen the change orders, etc. SSNIT specified the scope. The technical guys at SSNIT specified what they wanted. So when they put out the tenders, both local and international, they specified this is what we want. These are the technical specifications we wanted. And so whoever submits the bid, you might meet these technical specifications. In fact, if you read the tender document, it states that the perfect business systems won it and they provided all the technical details and met all the requirements for 34 million. SSNIT comes and starts implementing this and realizes that what they had originally specified that they wanted wasn't what they actually needed. So, in essence, we spent $34 million to buy a system that was not fit for purpose. So what they then had to do, and the change orders show this, right back to the Malaysian company and their Ghanaian partners and say, we need other equipment. And because what we originally ordered for ain't working. So they had to, the guys charged them again. And if you see the change orders, it ranged, and it didn't go once. They went, we have documents to prove they went 4 times. But I've spoken to technical guys, because this, the project closure report was dated April 29th. After that, there have been several more changes that he had gone to the Malaysian companies to make. And the Malaysian company charged them because it's not their fault that the system they submitted were not working. You had asked for a system, and we had provided that system. If it wasn't working, you wanted to change it, you have to pay for the new system. And each time they had gone, the price had shot up. Now, that then shoots up the price quite significantly. In fact, between 2013, when the system was in full operation, and 2014, they had gone back to the company 4 times and had ballooned the figure from 34 million to almost 50 million. Now, this is the shocking part. The shocking part is the first requisition they made, which cost us 34 million in all, and these are hardware equipment and software, etc. One of the hardware components was a server. Was an HP server. And the HP server they are requested was an HP server that can simply process a few thousand transactions an hour. But what they actually needed was a server that will process 10 million transactions an hour. So when they realized that they had asked for the wrong equipment and spent 34 million already on it, they have had to abandon the equipment.
So where are these equipments now?
They're still there, I'm told. They're still there, not being used.
With SSNIT?
After we spent 34 million, yes. They had to go back to the company and said, give us different equipment. In fact, eventually now they're using IBM equipment, the very latest equipment. Now, just before Martin, because this is important, but this is where Martin Pebu comes in. In the end, what then happened, and this is another shocking bit. Remember, this is a social security and national insurance strategy. You wanted an IT infrastructure to manage social security transactions. What we bought, what we spent 34 million buying, was not an IT infrastructure, an IT system to manage social security. We went to buy an IT system to manage Provident Fund.
And that's what we ordered for.
That's what we ordered, and that's what we got. So what happened then was this. We then had to spend additional monies to reconfigure, to modify the Provident Fund system to do social security. So we have to spend more there as well.
So if you look at it, from our mistake to where we are now, we've actually spent more than the initial amount.
That's why we spent
Wow.
$72 million.
I can
on
see,
this.
Mr. Sarpong is beside himself. He has a point to make, but hold that thought. We have lawyer Martin Pegbo on the line. Let's deal with him very quickly. Counsel, thank you for your time. Given these facts, as you have heard them, would you say there has been financial loss?
Oh, prima facie, that's what we are looking at. It definitely seems like one. Okay, because I mean, from what you've read out from the contracts and the sums involved, to the extent that so far from what you've read, there wasn't proper due diligence to ensure that we bought what was actually required. Then we are talking about financial loss, because the Criminal Offences Act, that the financial loss provision, specifically mentions that when a person, okay, by his willful act, so either you intentionally or by omission, and that is where, so even if we can't prove that the officers involved deliberately bought this wrong equipment, at least we can rely on the omission. So if you fail to do proper due diligence to ensure that you buy the right equipment, then it means we are talking about financial loss. Okay? Yes. But the other side that has to be clarified is that we have to be sure that the money involved, also that's the money they use in paying, okay, is actually owned by the government. Because if it's just purely private funds, they may want to set up an argument that it wasn't government funds. But then it's not easy for them to totally get off the hook to say that these are just pensioners' contributions, because the National Pensions Act also gives the Social Security, that's SSNIT, some functions which are actually regulatory in nature. So if the body is actually government in nature, it's not easy for you to make an excuse that, oh, the money involved is not government money, but it is what do you call it, contributors' funds. Okay.
Now, if it is argued, lawyer, that this is contributors' funds, then what happens if the pensioners or workers whose monies are involved decide to sue?
Exactly. Oh, yes. And that one, they can't run away from it, because then they will have to answer. Because being a trust, they are supposed to use the money in such a way as they would have used their own money. You are trustees. So as a trustee, you are giving somebody's money to manage this as you would have managed your own funds. So the question is that, looking at the acquisition, the purchases that were made, is that how they would have used their own funds? That you go to buy something that you haven't checked that is fit for purpose? Obviously, it doesn't look good at all. It doesn't look good. So, whereas Evans, apart from uncovering this, to be able to move the system, you need to file a complaint, okay? Maybe with Yoko or the CID. Then perhaps we can have the criminal investigation started. Otherwise, maybe we will talk on radio, and then this will get shelved somewhere. So make a formal complaint, and then let's see how it pans out.
Well, we understand that Yoko is already investigating the matter, and so that's a step there in the right direction. Now, in the entire setup of SSNIT, lawyer, who would be prosecuted for this financial loss?
So far, from what the contract is read, that it must be the Director General, the one who did the pitches, because the buck stops with him. Yeah, yes. So the one who signed the contract, because it is through the signing of the contract that the loss would have occurred. So the one who signs the contract is the one to be held responsible. So from from Dr. Odum to Ernest Thompson, right? Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Before you go, do you have any final words on the matter?
Yes. My final words are that please give this case the best traction that it can get. You see, you've already mentioned that Yoko is investigating. But in Ghana, sometimes these things can take so long and eventually get lost. So, Evans, the best you can do for this country is that make sure that this particular story doesn't get shelved somewhere. You have to constantly throw the searchlights on it. So maybe you can give yourself, since Iyoko is a government institution. Yes, let it work a bit. So you can give yourself every 4 weeks, you ask for an update. So we get something concrete. These investigations must lead to a prosecution. Unless, of course, the people involved are willing to refund the money.
So they can avoid prosecution if they refund the money?
Oh, yes, definitely. From the way our laws in the Courts Act, financial laws and those other provisions, if you refund the money, it can be settled.
Right. Thank you very much, Lawyer Martin Pebu, for your time this morning.
Daniel, but Martin talks about additional details that I want to quickly bring before we move into the get reactions. I see is ready to go. The question is, did the technical team at SSNIT do a technical due diligence? Yes. The tender documents show that we sponsored them, the taxpayer, the pensioners, flew all of them to Malaysia. They spent days there, put in nice, fantastic hotels to go and visit the Malaysian firm's technical sites and be sure that what they are buying is what they need. Listen, let me read. Don't take my word for it. Let me read. A subcommittee of evaluation panel conducted a technical due diligence at the reference sites of Perfect Business System and Silver Lakes Consortium. Where did they visit? Perfect Business, they are in Accra. They went to their set. Then they went to Malaysia. They went to the Employee Provident Fund. I told you, they went to buy. And they knew that the Provident Fund, that's what they wanted. They're buying. They went to visit the Employee Provident Fund. That's what the guys were implementing in Malaysia.
You know what I'm thinking about?
They went to their main office, went there. Employee Provident Fund, Malaysia Customer Center, went there. Silver Lake Credit Card Process Center, they visited. Went through all these things for days. And the pensioners' money spent, and they came back, and they still gave us what we have.
Mr. Ajimani Sarpong.
Hello.
You obviously have a lot on your mind.
Well, like I was telling you that the evaluation process is 3-stage. And the heart of every contract or procurement is the specification. Did they really know what they wanted? So, and from what Evans is saying, I've not cited, let's say, appointment of an independent consultant to lead SSNIT.
That wasn't done.
To run the whole process, because there are some of these items that, as procurement entity, you might not have the in-depth knowledge to implement that. Okay, but the law gives the opportunity that you can. We have something we call technical services. So you can appoint a consultant who will do this scoping for you. So all the questions will come out. We've not seen that. Again, there's also another process that if you really don't even want to have an independent consultant leading the whole process, within the law, we have what we call two-stage approach to procurement, where if you are not really aware what the market is offering, you can just invite people that, look, I have this thing. How would you implement that? And you see vendors and suppliers coming to tell you that if you give me the opportunity, this is how I will do it end to end. Then based on that, you can now come out with proper scoping and fit for the purpose specification.
Yeah, speaking of getting proper scoping done,
yes,
I'm aware that the law even allows that if you're going to bid for some size of projects, you have to go into a pre-qualification process. A project is about 2 or 3 years in advance. Make sure that you have everything that you need before any money is paid, before anything is delivered.
Yes, you know, looking at the amount, we have what we call mandatory pre-qualification. So if it is service, 5 million and above, then you can pre-qualify. And looking at the quantum of the figures that is being churned out, it means that we should have taken our time and run the process, maybe have lead consultants to help us, or go through the two-stage procurement process, where all these things helps you to get the specification right. Again, I heard Evans mentioning the contract started jumping from 27 to 32 and now 72. I just want to understand, because in the law also, in the law also, when you want to do extension of contract or modification, Section 87, which has been amended, saying that if you want to increase the aggregate contract, aggregate means that the total contract, let's say if it was 34 million, and you've seen the need for a modification or variation or an increase. Once the increase is going to be above 10% of the initial contract, then it need to go through the approval authorities. Here it might be the Central Tender Review Committee, as we call them now. At first it was Central Tender Review Board. Okay, but so did we see that for the...
I have a question though before I see if I can answer.
Okay.
Would that even apply even after an entity had won the bid,
contract,
the contract had finished the implementation and everything, and then you realize that, well, you needed something in addition?
The way you are putting it, it means that the first contract did not solve our problem at all.
Exactly.
So the issue will be to the specification. So didn't you know what you were going to buy before you went out there to buy?
So for example, this is the evidence. So for example,
if you're saying that they wanted to go for pension suit or whatever, and they went for Provident Fund Management system, then the question will be, what were you thinking of? Okay, unless they tell us that, oh, we thought that the Provident Fund would have given us, but here, Evans is telling us that the machines, the equipment are all sitting there, being white elephant. That issue needs to be tackled differently. But where, let's say, they've gone for, granted the Provident Fund system was working, but we saw that, look, before we can get it end to end, you need to add one or two software to the same system for it to work and give us what we want. And the contract is going to be moved from, let's say, 27 million to a 40 million. That's above 10%. Then the whole process needs to go through the approval authorities. That one wouldn't have said that it is not. But we've not seen anything of that sort, whether even for the incrementals, they had the necessary approvals. But if the first specs did not,
because in this case, the machines that they got from the first spec, some of the machines are there and they are obsolete, they've been abandoned, and so that is staring at us.
Is it true that they bought the machines and they are not working at all? We need to really ascertain.
No, that's
those
what
things,
that's
because
what
we can't throw those things.
The first 34 million initial one that they submitted, and I mentioned the HP servers. The HP servers are there. They had to change it. And then now, for example, this is a change order, right? And you probably know the change order better than I do. And
change order.
Yeah. So in other words, they have submitted the first order. And they wanted to
change it.
Yeah. And give us something else. But they already submitted. They already provided it.
So I'm coming. When you are changing your order, it means that, okay, Evans, I want you to give me this book with this size, A5 size. Then I come in, no, Evans, looking at my destiny, I will need a change order for A4 size. Okay. Does that mean that I have to pay for the A4, A5, and come and pay for this? Is that the situation?
That's what it did. That's what happened.
So they paid for the first one.
They've already paid for the first one. The first one has been installed.
They started using it. It's not working, and then they went to change it.
So Daniel, just to help, let me.
But Evans, again, we need to know whether the first one, let's say I paid 27 million. The change order might be 34 million, okay? But they will net off the 27 million, then I'll pay the difference. We need to understand. It's not like the change order.
Okay, so Evans, coming on that, and let's...
The way do we know enough? It's like I've paid the 27 million, and now I'm buying a new system costing 34 million.
Yes.
So the amount is 27 plus 34.
Yes.
Which will be 71. Yes. Is that the situation?
That's what happened. So Operational Business Suite for Social Security, in accordance with Clause 33D of the General Conditions of Contract, and if you read the Clause 33D, it says that if it has been installed and you realize that you needed something more, you have to make an application and buy it, and at a different cost. we issue a change order for you to supply and install the following at the total cost of 10 million. Now, then they go to itemize. Okay. They want a mobile biometric units. Now, this is your original contract that was signed. This is what was the list of things they submitted in 2012. Now, this one is dated 2014.
Okay.
Remember, mobile biometric unit, they've already supplied that, and it was already being stored. Biometric solution. The biometric solutions have already been supplied, because if you look pension solution, mobile registration unit, desktop, so the biometric solution had already been supplied at the cost of 4 million.
But here they call it what? Mobile.
No, that's biometric solution. So that's a total biometric
mobile biometric unit.
So it's the same thing. I mean, if you see the technical guys, the same thing. So this is 2012. So two years later, right?
And how much is this?
This time it was 10 million. I mean, but that was not the only thing.
Okay.
That's not the because so you
for
realize
that component.
For
how
that
much was
component. So we are talking about a unit is costing 685,000.
Okay.
So that's an added
I mean, and if you look at this was the whole solution. This was the whole pack.
Okay.
So that was 4 million.
Okay.
But this is talking about per
unit.
And they wanted a quantity of 50
Okay.
this time. So you go through and you see even the scanners. They already ordered scanners and printers. Now they are asking for HP mobile desktop 150 printer. Meanwhile, the printers that they got here was not specified, but from what technical guys tell me, what they needed here was this. But initially, that's not what they asked
Right.
for.
Okay.
You get it? So the guys have already supplied this one, the lower spec, which was working, and then they realized that it wasn't working. Then you say, okay, this is not working. So give me a higher version. And the guy will charge you
without netting off the older one.
So that's what happened.
So that has been established. Mr. Sarpong, from what you've seen, has the law been breached?
Technically, if they didn't get the necessary tender review approvals for the
change orders,
then Section 87, which has been amended, Section 48 in 914, and form of breached because extension of contract. If it is, you shouldn't go above 10%. If it is gone beyond 10% of the original, then the necessary approvals authorities should have been seen. I'm yet to see that. So that aspect, you can ask more questions why the necessary approval authorities were not in for this one. Because the first one, we saw that they went through all the necessary tender review committees. So we need to see letters.
And that was in the contract document.
Yes.
When they went through it, it was in the contract documents. Evans, is it in the contract documents that they saw any tender review committee when they were going back for the change orders?
No, I haven't cited anything like that.
Okay.
So if that is absent, then we need to probe further. Yeah.
Right. Let me come back to you, Evans, for your final word on the matter.
Well, I mean, essentially, as we all already know, Iyoko is looking into the thing. But even that, yesterday I got information that it's not Iyoko. Was it Iyoko? Okay, good. Because I heard the board chair say that 5 officers of SSNIT have been referred to Iyoko. I think in relation to this. So my point is, if investigations are happening, that's what should happen. Okay. I guess we need to get to the bottom of this.
Of course.
But how Iyoko gets it, this is a very highly technical issue. The procurement, yes, but we have to. The reason why they got it wrong is because we didn't have the right technical expertise to help us. If Iyoko doesn't get the right consultants, it will be very difficult
to even establish that in the first place.
Exactly. For me, that's my only caution. That Iyoko, and it will cost money because these technical guys don't come cheap.
No,
you need to get somebody. Possibly, we need to get somebody from outside the country who can come in, who understands. Because this is those who know this, it's a very complex. The suit they were ordering, it's a very complex thing.
Mr. Sarpong, your final word.
Well, as a professional, I always say that the institute we are in, and advising everybody that we need to always engage the people with the right skills. And in procurement, we buy everything, but we might not have the technical know-how in everything. And there are processes that we use to acquire the things that you really don't have personal knowledge in. So let's get the right people in place, and let's give the procurement guys in the various institutions the power to lead some of these things. Because I was looking at some of the tender, the committees, okay, MIS general manager, but the procurement guy is just a manager. So even the power going to sit in the room to take a decision of such a quantum, you see that the procurement guys have still been relegated to the background. So we need to get the right people in place to lead some of these projects for us, so that we will mitigate some of this, should I use mistakes? Okay, mistakes.
So you think some of the right professionals were not in front, and that's why we got some of these mistakes?
I think so.
Right, thank you very much. Mr. Collins Ajimang Sarpong, he's a procurement expert, and of course Evans Mensah is a joint news editor here.